Effective communication is an essential part of constructive deliberation. In this brief video, we're going to look at some of the complexities of communication that we need to attend to in order to be effective in our deliberations, and which we may have to act to ameliorate. We'll look at this in terms of two factors: the communication process itself and the psychological pitfalls that may occur within it. Beginning with the process, then. Every communication starts with some intention, an intention to share an idea, a thought, a feeling with others. Before we can share it, we must turn it into words. And when we turn it into words, we will inevitably do so imperfectly. This might be because we're very nervous at the time, or maybe we just lack the right words. But even if we are very articulate and very calm, what we say is still a version of what we meant to say, not a perfect replication. And that's because as we express it, that intention passes through a screen consisting of all our previous experiences, all the hidden assumptions we have about the world around us, about what's good and what's bad, what's to be desired and what's feared. So we try to say what we mean, but we end up saying a version of what we mean. And then someone has to hear it. When they hear it, the same process occurs in reverse because they too have a worldview. They too have hidden subconscious assumptions about the world, and they have previous experiences with us or with people like us. All of these mean that they interpret what they hear rather than hearing it in a purely non-judgmental and neutral manner. And thus they form a perception of what we said, which is an imperfect version of what we intended to communicate. This basic fact is why a common maxim of communication is that perception is reality. Because what is communicated is what the other perceives, not what we say. Well, that's not fair, is it? But that's how the world works. And consequently, communication involves a partnership. If we really want to communicate with others, there has to be a back and forth of perception checking to ensure, as much as possible, that we are hearing each other accurately. Once a perception is formed, two things happen. First of all, there is a response, of course. But secondly, a memory of this event is formed, and that memory becomes part of the worldview, the screen through which all future communications pass. So when we talk to someone, we are setting the stage for our next communication, and we are influencing our next communication. The predisposition may be positive, it may be negative. It may consist of the feeling that we don't know what we're talking about, or that we are very wise, friendly, and supportive. It all depends upon the way in which we behave in the current communication in preparation for the next. We are always in the process of creating and sustaining a relationship with those to whom we hope to communicate. Now, within this already complex process, there are a number of psychological pitfalls that may occur. Even the most well-intended, skilled, and experienced people fall victim to these kinds of problems. The first is that it's impossible to keep an absolutely open mind. As already noted, we have a worldview. It influences what we hear and how we hear it. Simply being aware of this human problem, of the ladder of inference that occurs when we listen to something, is helpful, but it doesn't eliminate the basic problem. A significant part of this is confirmation bias, to which we are all subject. We tend to latch on to those things that reinforce our worldview and either not quite hear or to denigrate or minimize those things that contradict our existing beliefs, feelings, and intentions. This is how echo chambers are formed. There is a much longer list of such subconscious psychological pitfalls that can occur in communication, and these are explored within the toolkit. Some of them include these familiar issues. So, if you want to dig into this a little bit further, I would encourage you to look through the toolkit, perhaps read some of these files. If you are working with a group of people, perhaps a staff committee, or even just another teacher with whom you are co-planning, or if you're planning sports day at the elementary or the Pro D session for the secondary, whatever it might be, you may find it useful to use one or more of these files as a discussion before you begin a meeting, just to heighten awareness to some of the complexities and increase people's attention to the problem so that they work to get the best possible communication. Several options and suggestions for ways to do this using the toolkit files are available in the file titled Communications Workshop Options. This video is the first in a series of 5 that introduce some of the key features of the conceptual framework for constructive deliberation. The PDF files in the toolkit provide more granular detail and are suitable for personal exploration or group discussion.